I am Jason Abraham, the Shadow Teacher 33, and recently I was watching this new Thor movie, Love and Thunder. Now, mind you, I was watching this movie with the intention of studying occult symbolism and decoding subliminal messages, subliminal messages that are often found in big Hollywood movies that are intended to program the perception of the viewer. And I also wanted to watch it just because I grew up a comic book nerd. But ultimately, what I found was the theme, the overt theme of this movie, resonated with a particular theme in my life. And that's what this video is going to be about. In fact, I got a synchronicity while watching this movie. I didn't finish the movie because I got a text from an ex-girlfriend, who I felt a very special heart connection to. And that goes into the theme of this movie. It goes into the theme of a hero, a hero who's on the path of the hero's journey, who is called on a sacred mission to bring treasure back to the world for a greater good. And it's also about soul contracts, a profound, heartfelt connection that two people have, two people who meet, and you just feel a sense of being at home with each other, something that's just transcendent. And again, it wouldn't be a very interesting movie if you have the hero and his love, and they're just going out kicking ass together, and they're just living the perfect life with no conflict. That would be kind of fucking boring. So the conflict is when the theme of the hero's journey, when one is called on this path and has a sacred mission that they're meant to fulfill, what happens when that comes in conflict with a soul contract? When you meet a special person, a person you have an undeniable connection with, a connection that is transcendent, that's so sublime. But yet, you can't do both. You can either go on your hero's journey, or you can surrender the path of the hero when you're needed and go into this relationship with this person who you feel this deep connection with. And I've done both. I am someone who has made both choices all in one relationship. So this special person I refer to, when we met, I felt this sublime, transcendent connection with her, a connection that I've never felt with anybody else and still feel that way. And we initially met when I was sort of a crossroads in my own path. I was kind of at a place where the next phase in my hero's journey was muddy. So it made sense to get into this relationship at that time. But being someone who was always called to go off on these unconventional paths, to stray from the norm, like what I found was that there was something in me I was denying. And in the story arc of the hero's journey, you have the denial of the call, which shows up at some point. This is not exactly that, but when I was in this relationship, I was essentially denying the call, and I chose the relationship, and I was starting to lose respect for myself on a subconscious level. And eventually that factored into the relationship. And you see that in another Thor movie, or one of the Avengers movie, where he kind of checks out, and he has a broken heart, so he gives up the path of the hero, and that's kind of where I was at this point. Not so much with the relationship, but had a broken heart from other things, and then got into the relationship. But when someone who's called again on those paths, when you deny it, that typically goes along this loss of respect for self. And eventually, the person who may love you in the relationship, if you're losing respect for yourself, eventually they lose respect for you, and everything dissolves and goes to shit. Other side of that is when one feels that deep connection of love, but yet there are demands in the relationship. There are demands of being with each other, and yet the mission calls you away. And so, even though you may not intend to leave your relationship, to leave that connection, when your mission calls you away and you come back to the relationship, you find there's a distance there. And that's what's shown in this current Thor movie at a piece. There's a distance, and then eventually you have to make a choice because the needs of the relationship are not being fulfilled, and you're called in this circumstance again to either give up doing what's asked of you from your mission and come give more to the relationship, or if you feel like you're being called to the relationship or called to the mission and you have to sacrifice time in the relationship or the relationship altogether. These are choices a lot of times people are confronted with. And ultimately, what I've found is I've made both choices. I've left the relationship for the mission, and I've also left my mission for the relationship. And ultimately, none of it worked out. And you may be watching this video and say, God, why am I fucking listening to this guy? I want to watch a manifestation video that tells me how to have my cake and eat it too. How can I achieve my hero's journey and my perfect love and do it all? I'm not saying that's not possible. But what I am saying is when you find yourself in a situation like this, to where you feel like you have to choose one or the other, what I found the ancient wisdom is to let love lead the way. And love always leaves both people feeling more whole. And if this can be in a sense where you choose the relationship and you feel more whole and connected and feel greater respect for one another, or if you choose that the mission is what is needed of you and you feel you have to let go, you have to let someone be free so that they can get what they need from another person who can offer them more time or more of what they need that you can't offer because you're choosing this mission, or this mission is being called. And then you can let go out of love and respect for that person. And hopefully they would understand that you are not denying them, but there's still a love and respect there, and there's still a feeling of wholeness. So both people would ultimately, maybe they'd be going separate paths, but still feeling whole. Now, I've found going the separate paths route, there's sadness sometimes in the heart, but as long as there's that feeling of wholeness, then love is there. Love is present. And ultimately, whatever one decides, if they're at a crossroads where you have to pick, where you can't have your cake and eat it too, if you let love lead the way, then love will lead you down the right path. Love will lead you where you need to be, which is always a state of feeling more whole and more connected, and feeling respect for yourself and respect for this other person. So with that being said, I'm going to end this transmission. Let love be the way. And maybe you're going to be one of those people who can have your cake and eat it too. That's not me. That hasn't been me thus far, but maybe that can be you. So be well, be strong, let love guide you, and I'll see you on the other side.